conference on innovation is that it gives you a chance to innovate on the meaning of innovation itself. Yes, I agree. And before I start on this structured talk, which I thought I'll give you on energy efficiency, let me also narrate two incidents which have struck a chord in me. The first is I made a visit to a small village called Anup Sheher. It is close to Bulandshahr. And I met a gentleman there who was the son of the zamindar, and he had gone to get the English degrees that he was talking about in the US. And then he started working there and earned a big pot of money, and then felt some pangs of guilt and said, I must go back home and do something for the country. So he came back and decided to set up a school for the girl child. And the kind of resistance he met for that is fantastic. He was shot at because he was trying to open a school for girls. The questions he was asked is, why girls? Why not boys? Girls kya karengi padke? So these are the kind of problems which Harish is talking about, that you can't just innovate for the sake of only technology. There are multiple things you need to solve. And this gentleman went on. He stuck to it. He started giving 10 rupees a day to any girl child who comes and attends school. So if that girl attends all 22 days, they get 220 rupees. Now the father allowed her to come. Then he got to the livelihoods of the women in the same village. Again the men stood, ye kya karenge, until they realized there's some money coming in. So that's part of India. The second one I would relate to what he was talking about is a thing that Terry was doing of trying to, you may have heard of this campaign of ours of lighting 1 billion lives, where the intention was to take light to, it started with 1 million and then we became a bit over ambitious and talked about 1 billion across the globe who don't have access to clean energy, which could give light in their homes. Now, initially, we got donors, and you got a solar lantern and gave it to those villagers. But the minute the switch went bad or something went bad, they would throw it away. They were not going to replace it. So the only solution was to create entrepreneurs in those villages who would then own something. So we set up charging stations where that guy had to actually buy the charging station, and now he started charging those villagers as much as they were spending on kerosene, and the system worked. Let me get back to this structured talk of mine. So it's ironic that I'm going to be talking about energy efficiency sitting in a room where the temperature is probably at least 4 degrees less than what it should have been, and some of us are sitting like this to counter it, but again, we can discuss innovation to any length. So I'll just take you through the policy and the regulatory environment which exists for energy efficiency. If I can just turn this a bit, then I'll be able to see this. Okay, and then expose you to a few of Terry's initiatives which we've been working on in this field. Now, what's important to note is that cities contribute to the largest footprint of the energy envelope. And if we see in the last 200 years, the urbanization of the world has gone up from 3% to around 50% today, and is steadily going up to about 70% we expect by about 2050. So this is going to be a huge footprint on the envelope. Now, if we were to talk about India, where we are aiming for 8 or 9% of growth, and about 8% of growth requires about 500 megawatts of power every week. That's how we start thinking. So if you want growth, you need this much power. And frankly, that's the wrong way. We need to decouple this. We need to de-link energy requirement from economic growth. And it's not as if I'm talking about something unimaginable. Denmark has done it. It's a very good example of how energy consumption has been delinked from GDP growth. You may argue GDP is not the only measure, but they've done it and they've proved that you can delink energy consumption from GDP growth. And they've done it with the help of energy efficiency. Now, it's also necessary that a developing country like ours has to leapfrog, and we have to have economic acceleration in a world where we are talking about the fact that we are using up the natural resources of the world at a pace which is just not sustainable. And so, whether it is bumps we need to get over or it's a trump, there's a vast need for creativity and innovation, and that's what we are here talking about today. Now, just a bit on the environment, the policy landscape is evolving, and a lot of it is to do with the realization that climate change is real. It's on us. So there are sustainable development goals which have been set up, and everybody's accepted these. There are the intended nationally determined contributions, of which India has made its own. There is the national mission for enhanced energy efficiency, and then there are the state level regulatory bodies and regulations. At the international level, there are many of these initiatives, including global fuel efficiency, lighting efficiency, and so on. Within India, we've set up our own regulations emerging out of these. What I'd like to bring out to you is, out of the SDGs goal, the SDG 7, which deals with clean energy for all, there is a sub-goal in that, 7.3, and this is also one of the 3 goals of the Sustainable Energy for All, which is a UN-driven mission, to double the global rate of improvement of energy efficiency by 2030. So in 15 years, we intend to double the global rate of improvement of energy efficiency. That's a big task, but we are moving ahead, frankly, towards that.